Welcome to the SLS Fit Pod, brought to you from the WellPoint Studios. WellPoint, the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Well, welcome back to the SLS Fit Pod. We have a really interesting, different, fun podcast today, and I have two very special guests, starting with, do you want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. I'm Sherri Sarrouf. I'm the owner of SLS Fitness and Dragonfly Cafe.
Boom.
Boom.
I'm Danielle. Everyone calls me Donny, Coach Donny at SLS Strength and Conditioning.
Boom.
Nice. That was a good one, Donny. We're very happy to have Donny here today because we have a really interesting podcast. I feel like everywhere you go, you always hear all over social media, online, every podcast, what are the top 5 tips for health and fitness, right? Mm-hmm. And you kind of hear the same ones over and over again. So we're kind of turning this idea on its head, and we are going to go back and forth saying your top 5 health and fitness tips that people don't usually talk about that are really important. It's fun, right, guys?
Well, the important ones are talked about.
Yeah, right? Like you know to drink water, you know to walk.
Yeah, you know to move more every day.
Yeah, we know strength is good.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, those would be our still top for Donny and I, but we're going to give you our fun ones, different ones.
Yeah, ones that people don't usually talk about. So what we're going to do is Donny and Sherri are going to go back and forth. We're going to start at 5 and then go all the way down to our number ones and maybe mention some honorable mentions at the end.
Love it.
All right.
Well, I've been wanting Donny on this podcast for a while. She's a wealth of information, and we geek out at the gym. So I wanted to geek out on the podcast and talk about all these things that you might want to hear from her. And, I hear from her every day, and her clients do, but we want to get her vision out to the masses. So here we are.
Yeah. Let's start with your 5, Sherri.
Yeah.
I'll bounce off you better, and then I'll get rolling.
Are we going 5, starting with 5 and up?
Yeah, so start with you. What is your number 5 on your list for health and fitness tips?
Meaning 5, meaning not the top.
So not the top.
From the bottom
Yeah,
here?
bottom up.
I don't think I put mine in order, but we'll see how they go.
I don't know which one I'd find more or less important, but I guess I'll start with my first one. I am a magnesium freak. I love magnesium. I just think it's the miracle mineral, and ever see My Big Fat Greek Wedding, and he just keeps putting the Windex on everything. I'm a magnesium person.
And they have the spray, so you can actually do
They
that.
actually have a magnesium spray. I just feel like most people are magnesium deficient, and a lot of times if they just try it, it's a mineral. It's not, nothing bad's going to happen. So it's a mineral that, you can't overdose on or anything. I guess you could if you took too much. But I think it's just a wonderful mineral to take because a lot of people have a hard time sleeping and they have anxiety and they're twitchy. And it's just if you go into the emergency room with a heart attack or a preterm labor, they're going to give you magnesium, a drip. That's what they give you for heart attacks. What they give you for preterm labor. I went into preterm labor with you and they gave me magnesium drip. It's one of those things that if everything's excited and the muscles are all really twitchy, and that calms them down, especially if like a heart attack. And if you can't go to the bathroom, you've heard of milk of magnesia. There's a lot of magnesium supplements out there, but just a simple like magnesium glycinate at night to take for bed really helps you relax, helps the mind relax. So somebody for me who's an anxious person, and I tend to be low on magnesium and electrolytes anyway, I find that magnesium helps a lot of people, especially aging. You get the leg cramps stuff at night, and if you work out too much, you don't have enough magnesium. If you don't have enough magnesium. If you age, you don't have enough magnesium. So I feel like there's a little more buzz about it lately. You're hearing probably more of you can get. I mean, there's a lot of different grades of magnesium. Like magnesium, there's all different types. If you can't go to the bathroom, they tell you to have magnesium citrate. That's a really good one. But if you want to get a magnesium with everything, or if you just want to get a magnesium glycinate to relax. Now, I know you and Steven take it. My kids take it. My husband takes it. I have you guys on, and everyone's noticed a difference. if you take too much, you do get runny stools, but that's like, you've gone too far. But usually it doesn't happen unless you're taking too much magnesium citrate. But you can always check with your doctor and see, but you can buy it over the counter. And like Donny just said, there's a spray. You can spray it in your legs in the middle of the night if you get leg cramps. I gave it to my in-laws years ago, and it helped them with the leg cramps in the middle of the night. Our soil is very deficient, now that we don't get a lot of the minerals. So anyways, that's my number 5.
I used to do it after practice too. I'd spray it like before, one, because it's really hard to come down after late night
That's a really good thought. Yeah.
But also I used to spray it on like problematic areas.
Oh, yeah.
Especially contact sports. So I got like the double whammy kind of benefit there, which was nice.
So if like your back had hit, you'd put spray it on your. Oh, that's
Yeah,
really
so
good.
I
Yeah.
just spray it on the areas that need a little love. I always tell myself, I know it's not, but even if it was placebo, I was like, don't care.
Yeah, right. I don't care if it's making you feel better. Who knows? And I mean, it can't hurt.
Yeah, people would always ask me like, "Oh, does the spray actually work?" And I'm just like, "If you believe it does, then yes."
If you believe you
It
can
does.
achieve.
It does. A lot of the Parkinson's patients at the gym use it, and they said it helps them too because they're twitching and they're having tremors, and it does help them as well. They get a lot of leg cramps too, so
Right.
it helps them. So I do think there's something to the spray. There's a cream, there's an oral, whatever you want to take. So yeah, that's magnesium.
I love that tip because I live by magnesium. Like I'm a really bad sleeper. Like always had a hard time falling asleep. And I swear if I can't take magnesium, I can't fall asleep. It's a game changer for me. So
That could be placebo too, but who cares?
yeah, at that point, it doesn't matter to me as long as I'm getting the outcome I want. It doesn't matter if it's a placebo as much.
You know how I first found out about it is I had really bad heart palpitations when I was in perimenopause. Like I couldn't figure them out. I was going to all these appointments. I literally they were trying to figure out what's going on. I had a heart monitor on and everything. And one naturopath said to me, why don't you just try some magnesium? And I tried it and they went away the next day and they never came back. I take it every day and they've never come back.
I take it before bed, and I was like, "Okay," so everyone knows I'm going to bed. I'm going to pop a mag.
I love
And then
that.
I'm done.
Yeah. So anyways, that's it.
All
Enough
right.
of that.
I know. All right. So magnesium, number 5. Donny, what is your number 5?
I feel like mine's a little broad when it comes to that. But I guess, and goes without saying, but just like trying to find a way to have a better relationship with food.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like nowadays, especially with like a lot of the implementation of like GLP-1s and things like that, it's more of just describing deficit versus depletion for some people's bodies, where it's like it's absolutely 100% okay and great to have a body composition goal or aesthetic based goals, but understanding that we need to develop better relationships with food when it comes to that. And again, it goes back to, I'll go into slight deficits pending, what I'm training for, or even if it's aesthetic based, and that's totally fine. But understanding that is not a complete depletion of my body and energy resources. And then I kind of tank my BMR and baseline. And just having people understand that, because I feel like nowadays, especially again with GLP-1s and things like that, some people are giving like having body composition goals like a negative connotation. And I don't believe that's true. It's good for health. But
Hot topic.
yeah, I think we also need to just have people understand that we need to be eating and fueling our bodies enough, especially if you're someone that's also now training for performance, or you're just in a gym setting at all. It's like you can't keep asking your body for more if you keep giving it less.
Well, then it starts to take away from the bones
Yeah.
and the muscles.
And then we also just why we're getting one, maybe more injury prone, or two, our energy levels just suck, or you're just not, performing in the gym at all. You're wondering why, weights are going down, or like things are getting injured, or you're tired. And it's just, so you're not giving your body enough. And
I
then
love it.
also, again, then your BMR is just tanked, which is what your body burns at rest.
So true. And why would you go to the gym if you're totally being like counterproductive by not eating enough
Yeah,
to supply
no, it's
what
just-
you go in the gym for?
You're exhausted.
Yeah. You don't have the motivation. You don't. Yeah, I totally agree with you 100%. And you're not getting enough vitamins, minerals, and how like your system's going to work.
Yeah. So it's just counting, like just making sure that we establish, again, better relationships with food. Understanding that if you have like a bad day, it doesn't destroy your entire week or month. And that could actually reset things in kind of a good way.
I think Donny mentions this because we see this a lot.
Yeah.
This is something we're hearing and seeing more than I think most people, because this is a job we do.
Yeah.
So I think it's a really hot topic and a really important one to talk about. And we're the ones studying it, learning, and we know, so much about the body. We just want to help people.
Yeah, and I think that that's like just one of the biggest conversations I have with people overall is they're like, oh, I don't want to like count macros or look at anything because then I all of a sudden go off on a tangent and I get like too obsessed, which kind of leads into my next one is I always tell people like, at first it's like really try to be a scientist, not a judge, where it's like, just like try to understand what your body is authentically receiving. Like we're not, tracking or writing things down to judge ourselves or to put ourselves in like a bad position. It's just to let us know like, hey, this is what we're receiving. If I want to get from here to here, where's there room for positive change?
Let's go into number 4 because that's it falls right into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that could be
that's a good one.
When it comes to training, it can be when it comes to nutrition, it can be when it comes to anything in your life. It's just, when I first have people in, especially if they have any kind of body composition goal, if they have any kind of performance goal, whatever it is, it's like, we just want to know like, well, what are you getting right now? Because a lot of people will, especially this is, I think, the biggest conversation I have with people, members, clients, family, friends. It's like, well, I'm doing everything right, but nothing is changing or it's not going in any direction that I want it to. And it's like, well, do we know what you're authentically receiving? Are we actually doing all those things, or do we think we are, or do we not want to write down what's happening on the weekends or nights because we know if we do, we're going to judge ourselves.
That's a good point. It's funny that you say that because, I think they say you underestimate what you actually do for workouts and you overestimate like what you eat or something. You think that but until you actually write it down and look at it with a coach and be like, well, now that I look at it, you're not really having enough protein all day. And, so we look at it and we would never know unless they wrote it down and showed us. Or activity wise, well, you went 2 weeks without working out because you were sick, and then you had a week because your son was away on vacation. And then, here you are a month, but they're like, we work out every day.
Yeah.
So it's, that intel of we're not trying to judge. You're just trying to be like, well, here, where are we at right now so we can help you?
Yeah. And again, it doesn't even have to just be with food, even with like water intake. I have a lot of people, it's like, hey, just write your water down for just like a few days. And they're wondering why energy levels are super low or whatever it is. And it's like, great. I had someone who was drinking 8 ounces of water a day.
Stephen Crowley drinks like 8 ounces of water.
Yeah, it's just and then we wonder why our energy levels midday are like super low, and it's just like we're just like constantly dehydrated. Especially if it's someone like him who's training hard, or maybe you go in the sauna, or he works a very physical job, and it's just like you're gonna start feeling some level of depletion.
Yeah, and I don't think he's correlating it to dehydration. So he's been trying to drink more. He's carrying around a water bottle with him, so he's trying. But he's like, I just don't think of drinking water.
Yeah. I mean, we could relate that to like anything in your life, where it could be your job, it could be family, it could be food, training, whatever it is. But again, the biggest point is not to judge yourself. It's just an opportunity to make some good change.
I like that private investigator. Just kind of private investigator.
Yeah. What would be your best advice to the person that's maybe like worries about getting like, oh, if I start to deep dive into this, like, will I get too attached to like looking at things or like obsessing? Because I know I'm that kind of person where I'd be like, when I have something, I'm like, oh, sometimes I like my brain can stick on it a little bit. What's your best advice of having someone being like, okay, no, just get data and see what your baseline is?
And that's why I'll tell people, like, let's just see like what a real day or two looks like. I'm like, we don't have to do this long term. It's like at first, like we need to know, again, what your body's authentically receiving. Because if not, it's like you could have a map, but if you don't know where you are, it's not going to lead you anywhere.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, again, just giving you a sense of where you are in that current moment. So that way we can kind of map out the territory a little bit better.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I mean, think about it. Goal setting is so important, like writing things down and putting your finances down and putting your, anything down or what you want to do, you write it down. And manifesting, they tell you, to write it down. So it's important for your body to be like, well, what are we actually doing? And it's good to just write it down sometimes I think we give our brain too much power to be like, you're going to start obsessing. I think that can be sometimes
predetermined.
A crutch. Yeah. Like I'm not going to do it because of that. Well, it's not, you can tell yourself you're just getting this data and you just want to, figure it out. So I don't know.
Yeah, and like for me, like I've been tracking like a little bit more lately, especially not being as involved in athletics in the current moment, and I just kind of like gamify it. It's like just kind of make it kind of fun, and if I don't hit it, it's like you have to also like give yourself some grace.
Yeah,
It's like it's also like, again, we say like scientist, not a judge. It's like it's okay if we don't, but it just like gives you, and it just gives me a better idea of like, okay, this is kind of what my week should look like if I want to accomplish this and this, and if I don't, I'm like, okay, great. But at least I know why that's not happening.
Yeah.
And again, the biggest frustration, again, I hear from people is I am doing all the things right, but nothing, or the needle
Nothing's
just
changing,
isn't changing. So it's like, okay, let's like really look into this. Like, are we actually doing all those things? Or, I talked to someone once, and this is a big example I used is, he was doing like everything right. Everything he wrote down food wise was great. Like he wasn't having a ton of processed foods. He was exercising, got great amount of step count. But while he was cooking dinner, he would eat he didn't realize he was eating like 9 servings of almonds. Which added up to about 800 extra calories a day. So now his slight deficit has become a pretty large surplus. And again, if you're like just trying to like healthily move the body comp scale along, and you really, that can be really discouraging. So it's like, it's just letting us know, it's like, okay, what are we getting? And then again, it's just little changes, positive change. It's not meant to judge or become obsessed over. And then you usually, after, for me especially, it's like after I track for like a little while, even if it's just a week, it's like I kind of get an idea of like, okay, this is probably right around where I'm going to, make some change. And then, if the needle stops moving again, we can kind of relook at it. But you're not meant to be in a deficit forever.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good tip.
All right. What's your number 4?
Oh, okay. Number 4, I am going to stick with the supplementation and go with multivitamins and vitamin D. I feel like everyone, especially in New England, is deficient in vitamin D3, K2, and if obviously you want to always check with the doctor. I'm not a doctor, but I just think that if people take a good multivitamin and then a vitamin D supplement, they tend to have their immune systems be a lot more robust, and they can fight off the COVIDs and the flus and all the stuff that's going on, all these viruses that we're seeing with higher vitamin D levels. And then multivitamin, they came out with this new research that they put all these people on Centrum for 10 years, which is a basic multivitamin that I didn't think had any sort of value to it. And they saw that these people that were on the multivitamins had better cognitive, they didn't have cognitive decline like the other people. And just a basic multivitamin really helped them with their immune system and specifically with brain health and cognitive. And I thought that was super interesting.
What's your take on multivitamins if people are getting a pretty well-rounded diet?
So great question. I'm so glad you asked that. So part of this research was that people were getting a pretty well-rounded diet when they were eating, but our food sources are not full of vitamins and nutrients right now. For some reason, what we ate like 20 years ago with our grandparents, their strawberries had a lot more vitamins and nutrients. And now because the soil has changed and our food, with the way they process all our foods. So it's funny, we're not getting those high nutrient values anymore, which is crazy because, a lot of times they'll say, oh, you eat really well, you don't need a multivitamin. Well, you might not get vitamin K and D and, there's so many vitamin Bs and all that stuff. So a good multivitamin, just make sure you get them at the end of the day, and that if you didn't get all those, vitamins and minerals, and there's some good ones that are food grade. You can just like smash in a gummy that's all just like food, or a good organic one that you can get, or just, obviously Centrum works, which who knew?
How do we feel about the gummies, Sherri?
I take a multivitamin gummy.
Whatever you can. If you have a good one that's gluten free and it doesn't have a lot of crap in it, that's good. I mean, whatever you can get. She does. She has a hard time with vitamins, so I give her a gummy. And Steve, a lot of kids won't eat them, so if you have them take a good organic one that's a high quality one. I look at the consumer labs and see they test them. I'm like a freak on testing them right now. So, I'll look to see if they tested them and if they're really actually the vitamins. Because a lot of times now they'll sell them and there won't be nothing in it but rice bran flour. And you get, especially if you're getting it off Amazon or whatever. So I've been following those. So some good ones out there that you can still get that are high in vitamins and nutrients, and get your vitamins and nutrients up. Thing is too, they did a big research study recently on people who are vitamin and mineral deficient. They end up getting more health challenges. They end up getting more health diseases. So there is something to making sure that you get a well-rounded diet of food, and then just add that multivitamin in just in case you don't get it. So Why not? That's my tip.
Take my creatine gummies.
Creatine, great.
More because it's a treat. I have no trouble taking pills, but
Yeah,
I know it makes it more of like a fun ritual when they're the gummies.
my creatine
Tastes like a.
But I know there's been some studies about how there's not as much in that.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful of the brand.
Yeah, the powder creatine is supposed to be better, but
Yes.
I think creatine. I'm a freak about that too, but that's not on my list today.
That's an honorable mention. Creatine.
mention.
Just a good one because we all, Donnie and I, we all love creatine. It just helps with our brain. Now they're saying it's going to help you the brain, so why not?
Yeah, or especially if you are training for any kind of weight loss, it's really good to have just to sustain muscle mass and ATP and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, menopausal women, it helps with
Yes,
muscle.
absolutely.
So it's all
Highly
good.
recommend. My mom asks me all the time. She's like, "Should I be taking creatine?" I'm like, "Probably."
Yes, you should. Tell her yes. I'll send her all good research on it. Yeah, okay,
All
that's
right,
fine.
we're down to our number 3s. Okay, I'm excited to hear these. All right, Donnie, what's your number 3?
My 2 and 3, I guess, are kind of like a 2-for-1. This kind of for me goes more down the performance and training rabbit hole, though, and I did a post about this recently, that good performance training is good longevity training. I feel like there's a really big push right now for like people come in and like their only goal is, well, I'm training for longevity. And that does not mean we don't train with intensity.
Love that.
So I feel like there's like a big disconnect between, it's like, oh, training for longevity means that, again, there's no intensity. It's like, no. We want to train, whatever, like the hardest thing you can do now doesn't mean you have to do that every day. But we want to train you the hardest you can now to prepare you for whatever we're going to see. I don't know. So it's like, especially among like 30 and 40-year-olds in that kind of boat right now, it's like, we don't need to train like we're 80 when we're 30.
True.
It's like, it's like we're training for longevity means we try to keep or, enhance the qualities of fitness that we possibly can now. So that way they're at a certain level when we do get to a certain age. But if we're undermining everything we do now, then we're going to have a lot more of a drop off when we are coming to a certain age point.
Agreed. I love it. I think people don't understand that intensity is anti-aging.
Yeah, and
It doesn't have to be
intensity is
long. You have to do
subjective.
like crazy stuff. You just have to do something that gets you
And it's relative too. It's like my intensity might not be the same as Sherry's on any given thing. So it's not saying you have to compare it to anybody else's, but we need to make sure within certain types of fitness qualities that there is a range of intensities, or we should be able to train at a range of different levels too. It's like if I say, Sherry, let's get on the assault bike and I want you to go as hard as you can, and it looks the same as you going at your leisurely pace. It's like, I want to change that. I want you to be able to train through a variance of different intensities. You have the ability to change levels if we need to.
And there's so much clinical research on this, that it is anti-aging and does help. And people do as they age, even up to the 80s, need to do some sort of something intense that will help them. Again, to what their level is for what they're at right now. Their intensity level will be different from you and I, but
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
Yeah. Adapt or die. But it's relative, and it's like, you're not saying you have to go hit like a 1 rep max of all your main lifts, but it's like, find something you could put a decent amount of effort into and stick with that long term. So that way you can keep building cumulative progress. And then you feel confident in what you're doing and that things don't break down.
Is that a kind of message too, to differentiate your training, like having maybe picking some more of like the recovery with the high intensity, with the cardio, with the strength? Is that a piece of it too for longevity?
Yeah, and that was going to be kind of like how I tied in my 2 and 3, where it's like, we do want to train a variety of different fitness qualities. It's like, I'd rather you have B's all across the board and then get an A in this one fitness quality and then an F in everything else.
Well, that tends to happen. People love cardio, stick to cardio. People love strength, stick to strength. People love yoga, stick to yoga.
Yeah, and we'd like to do what we're good at.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Of course.
but moving it around is...
If I never had to do cardio again, I probably wouldn't. I'd rather just deadlift and sprint all day. But it's like, we want to make sure we're a bit more well-rounded. It's not to say we have to be amazing at everything, but we want to be kind of ready for... We want to make sure people can be like almost ready for anything. And I think the biggest thing I talk to my clients about is like, you know, when we're preparing an athlete for a sport, we want to make sure we train them slightly beyond the demand of their sport so that if something does happen in the game, they're prepared for it. So I want most people, you know, the general population to train beyond the demand of their life. It might not be something you see day to day, but good. If it happens, you're ready for it. Let's say you even just get the flu. It's like, it makes everything you're doing that much easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. Or if you get back from an injury, you come back fast. So look at all the athletes who get injured. They come back so fast because they were fit.
Yeah, and especially after, you know, COVID and lockdown and like, you know, it wasn't as readily available to get to gyms. I know, you know, for even me playing athletics in season, there were a lot more injuries that season. And to the people who did get injured, it was a lot harder of a comeback because they didn't have their fitness behind them. My clients, and, you know, injuries are inevitable. You could say, you train for injury resilience, but, you know, you never know what can happen.
True.
And the fact is that you go into something with a higher level of fitness, whether even that's like going into a surgery, you're going to come out of it that much better.
Yeah, that's cool.
Is it, for both of you have seen in the gym setting, is there a certain type of fitness that you feel like is a gap for a lot of people that is your advice to add more of to their routine?
That's a good question.
To like make it a more well-rounded?
Mine would be more, and I like to say this in a different way, not training to be an athlete, but training more athletic qualities, whether that's just being able to jump, weight transfer from leg to leg. Again, training at different speeds. Life happens fast. You know, the weight room is great. We get stronger, but weight training is relatively safe and slow. And that's not generally what happens in the real world. You know, if you slip on ice, it happens quick. You're hiking and you step on a rock, it happens quick. And it's like, we got to be a little bit more training people to be a bit more reactive in nature. So again, it's just, and I say, not training to be an athlete, but just training those types of athletic qualities. We say like how quickly, it's a big measure, how quickly people can get off the floor, how quickly can you get down to the floor? It's like, can we change levels quickly? Again, can we train at a variety of different speeds and intensities? And that's really important. And again, that's very, very relative. I'm not saying you're going to take your accountant who is 50 and hasn't ever lifted a weight or done anything athletic and you immediately get them into like lateral bounds, where, you know, but it's like, can we get them like throwing a med ball at a different speed? Like the goal is maybe, can we move that quicker? Not so much can we make it heavier? Just little things like that really do go a long way. We were even I was training with a client the other day and we were just doing like some lateral marches. Again, a great way to get some athleticism in. And he just had a hiccup and stepped on his own foot and he kind of like tripped backwards. But I'm like, that's actually what we're training for, was the fact that you could put a foot back there, and react and catch yourself, because that's what fall prevention really is. Like, I know the strongest people that still fall, you know, it's like, obviously we want to have that strength. So if it does happen, but it's like, do you have the reactivity and the speed to be able to not have that actually occur?
Yeah, the reaction time is really important. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that makes me feel good that what we do at SLS is a lot of this. So
yeah,
it makes me feel good that, you know, and listening to Donny, you'd be intrigued to actually have her as your coach to help you with all the stuff. So if you've never actually been training this way and you want to pick her brain, it's good that, you know, she's right here. You can give her a call, have her train you.
Right.
Yeah, we could do a separate podcast on that.
Yeah, right. That could be a whole.
That could be fun stuff.
That could be a whole separate podcast for sure.
All right. So we got Donnie's like 2 and 3 kind of.
Is that both?
Was that
That's kind of like my 2 and 3. It's like good performance training or good longevity training is good performance training, and then making sure you just train a range of different fitness qualities. So that's mobility, you know, conditioning, strength, hypertrophy, all athleticism, all the good things.
Yeah, I know. I feel like years ago, like we went through the running. I'm older, so we went through this whole running era where everyone ran and did cardio, and then it flipped to strength, and then it flipped to yoga. Now it's like Pilates, but I feel like strength should be like, you know, always picking something up, putting it down. Always like the basics of strength should be in every single program, regardless of what you know, what's out there. And then you should make sure you do some sort of mobility because, you know, and years ago, no one ever stretched, and now the mobility classes are packed, and we're doing more mobility, and then so now you just have to have a little mix of everything, and making sure you have good balance. But it's hard to do when you don't have a lot of time in a day.
And that was gonna be the other thing, and it's hard because some people are like, well, now there's like, especially with the influence of social media, which is great because there's more information out there than ever. I think people are actually like, you know, a lot more into fitness. They've seen it, but with that comes kind of like an information overload.
Yeah,
like, well, now I don't know. There's all these things that says I should be doing, and I don't know how to fit that into my 2 30-minute time slots a week because I'm a mother of 2 young children and I just don't have time to train athleticism and strength and this and this. So it's like, you know, being able to kind of
Figure it out. Yeah.
make sure we can hit all the, it doesn't have to be a lot, like minimum dose.
Oh yeah. Minimum dose is easy. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's get into your number 3, and then we'll go back to we'll do 3 and 2.
Okay, so 3 for me is making sure that you do some sort of leg training. I don't necessarily think you need to, if you haven't been doing anything, but you have to move your legs, whether it's a brisk walk, that's probably the low-hanging fruit one, but you have to do some sort of squat, lunge, deadlift to move the legs. And there's new research out that people who actually do this sort of training have a 47% lower chance of getting Alzheimer's from just working leg strength. And it can be, you know, a brisk walk. Actually, the walking they did it was pretty fast clip of walking. Make sure that you get the legs pumping and the blood pumping up to the brain was a 45% less chance of getting Alzheimer's. But what they did, they took a large group of people who had mild cognitive decline, like they had starting dementia, starting Alzheimer's, and they gave them a strength training program 3 times a week, and it literally reversed it by 47% of the dementia. Like they started to see a reversal just from, I think they kind of compared it to like if the legs are pumping, all the blood comes up into the brain and actually gets the brain pumping and gets the oxygen up to the brain. So they did a twin study. They took a big variety of twins, and they had one of the group do legs, the other one not. And the twin that did the leg training actually had all these advantages to the brain. And I thought that was super interesting. And then if they stopped, they actually, after the study, they stopped and followed them 6 months. The twin that did the leg strength training and didn't do it anymore still had some of the stopping of the progression of the decline after 6 months. So you don't want to stop it. And this was a 30 to 45 minute program. So, and they did squats, some of it's building the strength in the legs, all relative to where you're at. So a brisk walk is still, you know, moving your legs, get that legs pumping really helps the brain. And I just feel like people aren't thinking about, I've sat on my, you know, legs all day, just sat there in a chair. I got to get the legs pumping for, you know, for the brain and for your health and for longevity. That's like a known tip.
Yeah. Are you seeing a decline in people is it less the advice is like more leg days or more just adding legs training to your routine?
No, if you're already doing it, you're fine.
Okay.
I mean, I think if you're doing legs, you're fine. This is for people who just don't get the legs pumping enough and don't get that leg strength.
Right.
And you need to get the legs the glute muscles and the leg muscles need power and strength. The glutes they're the biggest muscle that won't work. And we sit them on the butt all day and they just don't work. But it does affect the brain and the heart. And if you just get up and start working those and giving them a little power, do some squats or, you know, obviously we want you to add weight to the squats eventually. But if you get like climbing stairs or stepping up on a step up or, you know, building that leg strength is going to help you a lot for your brain and for your heart and for everything. So that's my tip.
Yeah,
work those legs.
Don't gotta tell me to do more.
That's
legs.
right.
Donnie's like,
she's
yes,
the legs.
I've got this one covered.
Do some lunges at home. Do some squats.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything like you don't need like an entire split of legs unless you really enjoy that. Sometimes less is more when it comes to volume. Again, it's just finding things you can put good effort into.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Like if you're picking an exercise that you can't apply a lot of effort to, it's like, you know, choose a different one.
Climb some stairs, step up on something, you know, hike out, go straight. If you have a treadmill, put the incline up. Just pump those legs, get them pumping. And every time they're pumping, think, I'm helping my brain. I do not want cognitive decline.
Like every time I walk, I'm getting smarter.
Right. It's got to be a pretty good walk. It's got to get the legs pumping. So, yeah.
All right. What's your number 2?
Number 2, I'm going to have to go with, I feel that I want to do a little shout out to people who, when you start exercising and you love it and you start seeing gains, that you think more is better and it's not. And I think every coach, everybody who's smart, who's educated knows that, you know, overtraining is not good for the body. I feel like that's what we see a lot is people just doing way too much and they don't need to, and they're actually harming the joints and the, you know, coming from me who overtrained all through my 20s and my 30s, and I way overdid it and then ended up really not well. I was really injured. And it took me a while to be like, okay, what is going on? Obviously, I'm not doing something right. And I just want to help people understand that, you know, there's a sweet spot with exercise. You can move all day. You can move and walk and do that stuff, but the actual training needs recovery. It needs time in between. It needs, it needs you to repair. And I just feel like that's a big one that we don't talk about enough.
Yeah, and I think a big thing too is, in a way, if I have people who train like multiple times a week, like me, you have a high frequency of training. You have to understand that exercise, while a good stressor, is still a stressor. And you have to consider all the other stressors that people are facing within their life and how they handle those. So it's kind of like taking a look at what your training actually looks like. And what I'll do is I actually have like more of like a high, moderate, low model. And it's like, okay, if I have a high day here, I'm going to maybe have like a low day coming in after it. And it doesn't mean you're not like working hard on those days. It's just that the intent and the adaptations are going to be a bit different. Again, if you're a high frequency trainer, if you're training 6 days a week, it's like, I'm not going to do a HIIT class 6 days a week.
No,
it's
right.
Like that most likely at that point, like the adaptations are probably going to take a downfall. And those are actually the kind of days, those like middle kind of days are actually the days that will kind of run you into the ground the most. And that's when you'll kind of actually start to see like it go the other direction.
Yeah.
Because it's just too fatiguing.
Yeah. I mean, my advice is to get a trainer to look at your program and help you make sure it's balanced out. Like, hiring somebody like you or somebody at the gym that will look at the program and say, hey, if you want to work out 6 days, I'll help you. I'm just going to show you how to balance it out better so you're not overdoing it and not overtraining. You're not doing the same. I mean, we see people come in there doing the same classes every day. And it's like, well, that's, you might want to move them around, do something a little different, help them out to get more balance.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to beginners too, it's like at first, well, yes, we need to probably have more volume accumulation. It's like we're not just going to be like, all right, well, let's do like a heavy 5.
Yeah.
One, because they're probably, not super confident in that movement yet. They might not understand how to apply effort or what really hard effort feels like.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just like a technical thing. Their tissues don't have the tolerance yet. So it's like, okay, we might start you with like, hey, week 1, we're doing 8, then we're doing 10, then we're doing 12, then we're doing 15, and we're going to like start accumulating a bit more volume over time.
Yep.
But there will be a diminishing return to that, like anything, eventually. And I see this actually more in the intermediate kind of lifters or people who are beginners. Good volume can creep up, and that's okay. The advanced people usually understand that like a little more like less is more. But it's the people kind of like in the middle where it's like, okay, I've been training for a few years, or even if it's like 10 years, but maybe you don't consider yourself like an advanced trainee or whatever it is. And it's just not understanding how to balance stress. It's like, if I could take an hour class and then do another hour class, it's like, was I really putting the effort into the first one? It's like, maybe we shouldn't be able to do that second one because we were actually really working hard at the first few things. It's like, you just need to find a few things that you could put really good effort into. For me, I always say squeeze the most out of the least for as long as possible. If I can get the same adaptations doing this much versus this much, like why would I do this? Yeah. Unless you just really like enjoy it, like that's fine. You can recover from it great. Some people are just different animals.
Yeah. Some people just can do it, and I eventually catch up with them, but yeah.
I mean, you think of like endurance athletes, and it's just like sometimes you're like, how are you running on those tired legs? And it's like everyone is a little bit different and has different tolerances. But again, if you could, like, less is more sometimes, especially the more advanced you get. Like, again, if you could train at a very high intensity and you could find intensity quickly, you're not going to need to do as much. People sometimes look at my training programs like, that's it? You did 3 sets of 3 today?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because all 9 of those reps were pretty damn intense.
Yeah.
So I don't need as much volume to find intensity.
Well, bingo, you just said what I'm talking about. So awesome. You know. You don't have to go do all the crazy. I have to feel completely drenched and fatigued and flat, and I can't move for 2 days. That's not the goal.
Yeah,
so I love that.
Like, to base off that too, it's like, what are we? Is the adaptation we're looking for fatigue, or are we actually looking to get something?
Yeah, I want to get strong and feel good, empowered, and feel like I could conquer the world.
And I get it. Like, people go into the gym like they want, like, and they say this is the difference sometimes between exercise versus training. Is like exercise, some people, it's like there's not really a goal in mind. It's like, I just want to chase like a feeling. I want to feel good. I want to sweat. I want to move, which is great too. But also, like, if we're doing something really hard, like I want you to get something out of that. I'm not just, like they always say, like, any trainer can make you sweat and make you tired. It's like, I want you to get better from that, not just get fatigued.
That's awesome. That's a mic drop.
I love it. And it ties so well into, Donny, your list. I feel like that's like the perfect kind of like they all really tie in together. So now we are down to our number ones. Before we get to number one, do we want to say some honorable mention? Did you have honorable mentions? Things that just barely made the list before we get to your number one that you want to shout out?
I wouldn't call, I mean, this is just like an overarching theme. And I think a big thing with like health in general is just making sure you have some kind of social support and community.
The community component.
Family,
so important.
friends, gym. I think there's also, again, and that's why sometimes the group classes are so great, because there is that kind of
that
set
fun.
of like shared suffering almost. But it's a big question, and that's like a question I actually ask new members when I meet with them, or new clients for the first time, is like, do you have some kind of support system, or are these goals supported by friends, family, loved ones, whoever it is?
Love that.
And if not, we want to kind of make sure you have that.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, and I think that's what SLS really stands for. Is one of the bases of our gym is community, and how important that is.
Yeah, it really is. I guess honorable mention for me would be mindset, just what you think. You know, I don't think people really understand that the mind is so powerful when it comes to your body. And if you're like, oh, I feel I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to go to the gym. I'm not an early morning person. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. It kind of like, that's what you get.
Right.
But if you're willing to be open and have an open mindset to try new things and to try to be positive about yourself and your body and try to see things positive, it really does make a difference when it comes to your body. The mind has a big part. But I go into that. That could be another
Yeah,
whole.
that's a whole other podcast. Okay, our number ones. Donnie, would you like to go first? What is your number one?
I think if we think of like the number one habit sometimes of the healthiest people is understanding whatever season of life you're in, or whatever like kind of pocket of life you're in, understanding what's realistic versus optimal.
That's kind of mindset. I like that.
You know, I'm 33 and a lot of my friends are starting to have young children, and, you know, they don't have the time or resources to train like they did before. And a big thing I talk to them about is, you know, what is realistic for you right now. It might not be the same as it was, you know, 2 years ago, but that's going to set you up for more success and more wins. Or it's the same day with like the like, you know, the January 1st kind of folks who come in and you're like, okay, cool. I mean, what's a realistic amount you're going to train? And they say, you know, like 6 days a week. And I'm like, is that what you want to do? Is that your optimal, or is that what's realistic right now? It's like, let's set you up for success that you want to maybe, and then we could add more.
Yeah, I love that. Wow, that'd be great conversation between a coach and a client. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is really good. I feel like if someone listens to this, they're going to really like wanting to have a coach help them through all this.
Right.
It wasn't let's all eat egg whites and, let's train.
Maybe that is realistic for you.
but I think
if you really like it,
you're saying, let's meet you where you're at. Let's try to balance it. I just like it,
And that goes for not even just training too. It's like, especially with nutrition, it's like, obviously we want people to eat more whole foods.
Yeah.
We know the benefit of them, but is it realistic to say that you're going to only eat whole foods all day?
Yeah.
It's fine to have some processed foods or whatever it is. It's fine if you're not going to hit like, so it's like, or we talk people about water goals sometimes. And they're like, if you're only drinking 8 ounces, I'm not saying it's realistic for you to jump to 108 ounces.
Yeah.
It's like, can we get one more water bottle in?
Yeah.
Like, let's just like small steps. And again, whatever is going on in your life, all the things you have to juggle, let's try to set something up for you right now. It's realistic, and we can move more towards optimal, when things get there.
Love it.
awesome. All right, what's your number one?
My number one is stress.
Oh,
I feel that it's so important right now. And I don't know if the climate of everything going on right now, or just, I probably would have said this 4 years ago as well, that the cortisol hormones and the hormones definitely take a hit throughout the whole body if you're under a lot of stress, and I think everyone is to some extent. And I feel like as far as I'm going to speak to like the female body, you really have a hard time with the sensitivity to cortisol as you go through perimenopause, starting around 33. So you're probably starting to feel a little twinges, if not soon.
Looking forward to it.
Late 30s, perimenopause, menopause, and you get very insulin sensitive, and the cortisols definitely go up, and you don't handle stress as well. You don't manage as well. And I feel like that's something that has to be put in there as a thought of that. A lot of times balancing your stress and having the cortisol levels come down and figuring out ways to have coping mechanisms to help you with your stress really do make a big difference with the body. That's so important because people go and do all these crazy, workouts, or they don't sleep and they have kids and they're running around and they do, heated this and sweat, and it just adds up to a really high cortisol. Then you have a hormonal imbalance problem. And that's when you start to see nothing we can do to help you till you balance out your hormones and your cortisols.
Yeah. And I think nowadays people are always about adding more versus just sometimes it's like might need to take something away.
Yes.
Obviously, if you love doing like cold plunges or sauna or whatever it is, sometimes like, well, maybe just like take something off your plate versus adding more onto it. Because those things, it can still be stressors too, so especially extreme cold, extreme heat. But yeah.
And you're already stressed. We're stressed at going to work every day, doing everything. We're stressed about everything. I mean, you think about the stress of just blue light and stress of like the toxins in the world and the stress of what's going on in the world and being on your phone all day, and that's already cortisol, and then being at work, and then it's just so much stress the body just really can't handle. And then you're going to go do these crazy workouts, which really sometimes do help the cortisols. I mean, you're getting out the stress. There's some good about it too. It's just if you push it too much after being too loaded, it's just, it tends to overspill, and then you've got some hormonal issues. But we could go over that another whole all on hormones once. 45 minutes could be a whole another topic, but today that would be my one thing, just to have people really think about.
I think stress, that ties into everything too. It goes through like, your training. It's like you have to manage stress throughout the week, so you could, keep the next day in mind if you want to perform well. It could go through talk about magnesium and sleeping patterns. I'm super guilty of this. I always talk about doing a cool down, and I never do.
Right.
It's like 2 minutes of breathing really does go a long way. It's like if you just did like a pretty high intensity workout, it's like now we're up here, and if you go back to a stressful job and you stay here the entire rest of the day, it's like, okay, cool. We kind of could have started pulling ourselves back down, but now we're staying here until we get home at night. And especially if you go home to something else
More
that's stressful,
stressful,
we're not really ever coming down.
No, people are just they're so cortisol driven every day, all day.
Yeah, I have quite a few clients who I've given like some really easy, like 2 to 3 minute breathing drills too. I'm not saying breathing drills are the end all, but getting yourself
pretty good though
back into like a parasympathetic state, and it's free, and you
can do it
easy.
anywhere.
You can do it in your bed.
Lizzie will be all about that. She loves that.
Right. I always say breathwork practices, breathing techniques, they're invisible and they're always with you. So it's like one of the number one tools that you can just have, that you can use at any point, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, no one will know. And it only helps you. So I'm super into the breathwork practices.
And it does drop your cortisol levels within minutes. I mean, your cortisol's up, you can breathe, and it drops them right down. So
I had a client that just took he went to the doctor, took his blood pressure, and it was a little higher. And he's like, let me do my breathing 2 minutes.
Right.
And they came back, and it went from 132 to 122.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, it's true. Or turbulence on a plane, I go right into meditation.
Yeah, probably
time to breathe. I'm clutching the sides.
But also with breathing too, it's like super interesting, because if you are constantly stressed all day, you're kind of in this state of like constant hyperventilation.
Yeah,
right.
Which is also going to then pull up your heart rate, because you're kind of just in more of a like sympathetic state all day, which you're not going to want to go to sleep if you're in that kind of state.
Nope, the body it can't do all, and you cannot burn fat when your cortisol levels are up. So people want to change their body mass index, and they want to lower fat. You might want to chill out a little, because the body doesn't like to give it up when it's in a high state.
Yeah, which is hard too, because like nobody ever benefited from someone telling them like, wow, you're really stressed. It's like, I know.
Yeah. Like,
so
thanks.
Yeah, it's
People tell me that all the time. Stop.
But it's finding ways to kind of battle that while also acknowledging how you handle stress.
Yeah,
like I know some things I handle better than others, like what kinds of stress.
Depends on what it is.
But I think sometimes don't be a judge. Like give yourself a little grace if you know you handle things like not well with that. Like instead of stressing on top of that because you don't handle stress well, it's just adding a whole nother layer. It's like, again, give yourself some grace.
It's great chatting with her today.
Yes. So we're at time.
I feel motivated.
Yes, I feel good. I feel like these top fives are so interesting. They're so different from each other, but they all really go hand in hand. So I think people are going to get a lot out of this. So before we end, Donny, can you let everyone know where they could follow you in case they want to follow you.
Follow her.
And want to learn more all about Donny.
I'm only on Instagram. It is at Donny's World with the world is a U. And that's it. I don't do TikTok or Facebook. I'm sorry.
She's great on Instagram, though. You have some good content.
Email me at Danielle Fournier at SLSFitness.com also.
And I'll put it in the comments of this so you guys can just copy and paste it. And then where could everyone follow you?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, Sherri Sarrouf. And then they can email me at sherri@slsfitness.com.
Yeah, so you can always follow us too on our SLS accounts. You'll see both of them. It's at SLS Fitness. TikTok's at SLS Fitness Lowell. You can see both of them featured on that. You can probably also get to their pages from that as well. But this has been the SLS Fit Pod. It's brought to you by WellPoint Studios. And just a reminder to please like, subscribe, follow, download, share, whatever means you want to use, we'll take. And if you could please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and let us know in your review what different topics or subjects you'd like to see on future podcasts, because we will implement those coming up.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Love it.
But thank you all, and thank you all for listening. We'll hear you, see you, talk to you next time.